Hello, greetings to you, my dear students. Today we are going to see one very interesting and marvelous topic from basic mathematics of JEE level, my dear students. Yes, it's greatest integer function. Yes, my dear students, today we are going to see what is greatest integer functions. Before that, I hope you all know about what is functions and relations and what are the different types of functions are there and what are the elements are there in functions, because those things are very important, my dear students, because without knowing the function we can't go enter into the further types of functions like greatest integer function, trigonometric functions, non-trigonometric functions, logarithmic function. There are so many functions are there, my dear students, but it's a very interesting topic, because for JE level mathematics, functions, trigonometry and calculus, these three topics plays a very vital role in that. In that, greatest integer function has a huge role. There are so many questions, my dear students, you can't believe that. Such type of questions they ask from greatest integer function. Since it is basic level, you always can't expect the direct question from this topic. But you know one thing, last year in JE 2023 mains exam, they have asked the direct question from this topic. Actually, greatest integer function have another one branch topic, another one branch function, which is called fractional part function. In next lecture, I'll explain you what is fractional part function and what are the difference between the greatest integer function and fractional part function, my dear students. Now today, without any further delay, let's go into the topic, my dear students. This lecture is very simple, my dear students. Just I'm going to explain you what is greatest integer function, what are the properties, are the important properties, and some practice questions. All of them are very simple, but in next lecture I'll post some interesting problem, and I said right, JE 2023 mains problem, I'll upload that video also separately in next lecture. In fractional part function lecture, I'll explain you. Before going into fractional part function, let me explain you that topic also. Okay, my dear students, let's go into the topic. Oh my god. So my dear students, as I said before, first let's do one introduction of greatest integer function and important properties of greatest integer function and practice questions. Practice makes a man perfect, my dear students. You have to do so many questions for practice, my dear students. Only for as a JE aspirant or NEET aspirant, you have to solve so many questions. After having so much practice only, you can solve as much as fast you can in the exam, because in maths only thing matters is they'll make the problem lengthy and it will be time consuming and you lose your time in single problem itself. So you have to study, you have to be ready with all the properties, and when you remember every properties, my dear students, only if you solve so many practice questions. If you don't solve any practice questions, even the simple properties you will forget. I'll explain you each and everything in a very simple manner, so that you can learn very easily as well as in a fun way. Okay, let's go into the topic, my dear students. It's greatest integer function. And so the greatest integer function, what does that mean? So actually the function means what, my dear students? There is an input and there will be some functioning and there are some outputs. This is like, this is what they call it as function. In the same way, here they have said it's greatest integer function. So what are the inputs I have? First I have to check what is the domain. Domain means input, my dear students. So what are the values I can take? That only we can say it as domain. For whatever the value I am giving, if it gives the defined value, then it comes under domain. If the value is I am giving, but it is giving undefined value, but that value won't come in domain. I hope you all know this, my dear students. I'll explain you separate lecture in functions topic. What is domain, what is range, wow, everything, what is codomain, everything I'll explain you in a separate lecture. So now functions, so it is greatest integer function. So first let's see how we denote this greatest integer function, my dear students. We denote it like this. With square bracket, we denote the greatest integer function, my dear students. So for this, as I said, domain, domain is entire R, my dear students. For every R, from minus infinity to plus infinity, we can take every values. Minus infinity, comma infinity. So we can also call this as R. So entire real numbers we can take inside, my dear students. For every value, it gives a defined value. So for us, no problem at all. So my domain is this one. Now, how this function works, that thing we have to understand. As I said before, now we have found the input. Now we have to find how it operates, how this function works. Then we obviously come to know what is the output of the function. Okay, my dear students, since here they have mentioned greatest integer, whatever the value I give, it always gives only the integer value, my dear students. Whether it is decimal, positive decimal, negative decimal, rational, irrational, nothing matters. My output is always going to be integer. So only they have said integer function. In that they have mentioned greatest integer function. Let me tell you. First, for integers, as I said, for rational, irrational, everything it gives the integer values. Then obviously for integers also it gives the integers as output, my dear students. For example, if I take 1, if I take 1 inside the greatest integer function, it obviously gives me the value as 1. If I take 2, then again the value is going to be 2. If I take 10, it obviously gives me the value 10. If I take minus 10, so my dear students, for whatever the integer values, whether it is positive or negative, it always gives me the same value. Only for integers, my dear students, only for x belongs to integers, it gives me the same value. Now let's see what is the functional, how it works for positive decimals. So I hope still now you have understood, my dear students. So the input is domain is R and the output is strictly only integers, and how it works. Now in that working process, just I have said only one thing. Let me show you some slides, then I go with positive decimals, negative decimals, everything, my dear students. So this is the definition for our greatest integer function, my dear students. Here the function, as I said before, this is how they will denote the greatest integer function. But in problem, obviously they will mention, after mentioning this, they will say this denotes the greatest integer function. You have to take it like that. Oh, sorry. Like that they will mention, my dear students. So don't get worried, but we have to know this is the symbol for greatest integer function, and assumes the values of the greatest integer. It assumes, my dear students, the value of the greatest integer less than or equal to x. So whatever the x value I am taking, for example, if I take 5, it obviously gives me the value 5. As I said before, for every integers, it will return the same value as what function, my dear students? As like an identity function. In identity function also, it for every values. Here in greatest integer function, for only for integers, it will give the same value. But in identity function, whatever the input, the output is same. That is the operation of the identity function. But here for greatest integer function, only for integers, it works like this. Maybe if 5.9, then also my value is 5, my dear students. If it is 5.1, then also my value is 5, my dear students. This is how it works, my dear students. So, how, sir? How you are saying then how it is greatest integer? So as we said, assumes. We are assuming the greatest. So from the graph means 0 till 1 here it is there, my dear students. So from 0 till 0.99999, it takes the value 0. Okay, have you understood, my dear students? Once it reaches the 1, it gives the value 1. Again, for 1, it gives me 1. It starts here. And for 1.1, again it acts as the constant function. For every value, it gives me the value 1 only. When it comes to 2, it goes step ahead. Like that, it goes, my dear students. The step function creates. Have you understood, my dear students? So, till from 1.1 to 1.9, I assume that 1 is the greatest value. So, I want the greatest integer. So, I am taking the left hand side. From left hand side, whatever the number is there, I'll take that one. That is how this function works, my dear students. So, I don't know who coined this name, but these are very important in calculus, particularly functions. They operated, they fixed this greatest integer function means it have to take the left side value and the smaller integer less than or equal to x. That value we are considering, we are assuming as the greatest integer. So only it is called greatest integer function, my dear students. Okay. So in the same way, so 5.1 from 5 till 5.9, I'll get the answer only 5 only, my dear students. So only for some place it acts like a constant function, some place it acts like identity function. So you have to be careful. This greatest integer function is a very interesting and very we can enjoy, my dear students. Okay. So this is how it goes, my dear students. That's what they have mentioned, less than or equal to x. If I take x is equals to 5 means also 5 only I'll get, and for if I take 5.9 then also I'll get 5. That means less than or equal to x. So only they have mentioned like that, my dear student. It is called the greatest integer function. I hope you have understood, my dear students. If you have any kind of doubt, any small doubt, please don't hesitate to ask me, because for you only I am teaching. So your understanding matters a lot, my dear students. I hope you understood. If you have any doubt, please don't hesitate to ask me. Okay? Okay, my dear students. So that's what they have mentioned here, my dear students. Greatest integer of 34 or this one. For both value, it gives the same 34 only, my dear students. It is read as greatest integer less than or equals to 34. That is how they used to read. But when you are solving problem, these theories are no need, my dear students. But you have to know. So now for your understanding, my dear students, just comment these answers in the comment box. I feel so happy for that. If you are watching my lecture and you are doing these problems means I feel so happy for you, my dear students. So the greatest integer of 14, or instead of denoting this theory, they are showing in symbol, my dear students. So as I said before, if it is integer, it acts like an identity function. So just you can write 14, and for this minus 39, and for this same, my dear students. So for 0 also the same value 0. I hope you understood, my dear students. If you have any doubt, please don't hesitate to ask me. Okay. So since it is integer, we are getting the same values. So that's what they also have mentioned, my dear students. If given number is an integer, it returns the same number. That's the note we are getting from here, my dear students. I hope you understood. So it's this like the smileys. If he is laughing, he also laugh, like that. Okay. So just for fun I took. I hope you understood. So what's the answer for this question, my dear student? These are like very simple. So whatever it is, negative, small number or big number, it comes under integer. Since it is an integer, it obviously gives me the same value. So the answer is minus 1002. So that's the answer, my dear students. So now tell me the answer for this question, my dear students, the positive decimals. As I said before, in graph, from 0 till 0.9, it takes the value 0, as well as from 1 till 2, till not 2, my dear students, 1.999, closer to 2, it takes the value 1. In the same way, here they have mentioned 29, which means 29.98 means here it comes, my dear students. So what value it takes? Obviously, it will take the 29. 29 is our answer, my dear students. For positive decimal, you don't have any kind of confusions. But when it comes to negative, you might have some confusion, my dear students, but don't worry. By practice, we can sort it out that issue. You always think you have to take the left hand side, left hand decimal, left hand integer you have to take, my dear students, because that is the smaller integer compared to the decimal. That will be the smaller integer. You always have to take the less than or equal to x. Just keep that in your mind so that you won't get any kind of confusion. These ones are very very important, my dear students. Even when you get into engineering, JEE, after clearing JEE, if you go into IIT, there also you have to study this function. This function is that much important. So please spend some time to learn and to analyze this problem and understand this function. Okay, my dear students. So that is how it goes, my dear students. So 29 is the answer. Greatest integer of minus 2.14, my dear students. So now here comes our hero, negative. So here, my dear students, as I said before, we have to take the smaller value. In negative side, compared to 0, minus 1 is very very smaller value. So if I take any values minus 0. Whatever, minus 0 0.1, minus 0.09 till here, when it comes to minus, I'll take the value minus 1. Okay, my dear students. Then from minus 1, it will become minus 1. As I said before, for every integer, it becomes an integer. So from minus 1 till minus 2. If it reaches minus 2, it becomes minus 2. But till that, minus 1.111 till minus 1.9, it takes the value minus 2. Because compared to minus 1, minus 2 is the smaller integer. So wherever the decimal is coming, my dear students, you have to think which one is smaller. If I am getting minus 2.1, so here I am getting minus 2.1 means here this value will come. So in that, minus 3 is smaller or minus 2 is smaller, my dear students. In negative, whatever the number is bigger, that one is the smaller, my dear students. So here minus 3. So wherever you are going, you have to just think which one is smaller. Don't take the greatest one, then you will get the wrong answer. You have to get the smaller integer. Compared to this, if you are getting minus 0 point any values, just think whether minus 1 is smaller or 0 is smaller. In that way it develops, my dear students. In the same way, here they have given minus 2.14. So since minus 2.14, between these two intervals, my dear students, which is the smaller value, my dear students? Minus 3, right? Here minus 3 is the smallest value, not minus 2, because minus 2 compared to minus 3, minus 2 is greatest to 1. If in the same way, for minus 3.1 to minus 3.9, I'll take the minus 4. But when it comes to 2.1, I'll take the value 2. So always keeps the mind, you have to take the left hand. If you are have that mind just left hand side, you don't take any kind of confusions, my dear students. But be careful, learn very slow and steady. For JEE, the understanding matters a lot, my dear students. If you understand well, these problems are very 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 simple. But before that, be very very confident in minus as well as negative as well as positive decimals. This thing matters a lot, my dear students. So minus 3 is the answer, my dear students. I hope you got it how we have solved it. So from here, the important note which is, my dear students, it returns the smaller integer closer to given number. That's what I have said to you in previous slide. I hope you understood. If you haven't understood, please ask me in the comment box, my dear students. See here, I have shown you the image here. One rose bud which is flowering, which becomes flower. From bud to it becomes flower. But when it comes to greatest integer function, right, it have to be bud only. It can't flower, it can't grow. So whether it is grown or whatever it is, when it comes to my function, which is that greatest integer function, you can't flower. You have to be bud. That's all. Otherwise, that's all. Like that. So just for your understanding purpose, I have done this, my dear students. So it's time to learn. These problems are very, 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 very simple, my dear students. You people are going to rock this. Okay. I hope, yeah, you can do this. Just minus, negative and positive. In those decimals only, be careful. Okay. So what is the value of 220.220, my dear students? So here you are getting the value for 220.220. It's a positive decimal, my dear students. So whatever the value I get, I'll get the same answer, 220. I hope you understood. So already we have seen from 0 till 0.9, I'll get 0 only. In the same way, they have given 220 and 221. In between, it comes somewhere very closer here, my dear students. So it will take, obviously it will take the value 220. That's the answer, my dear students. I hope you understood it. Pause the video, analyze it, think, and just write the answer, my dear students. Get the answer to your mind, then see whether you have solved correct or wrong. Because at negative, you have to be very careful, as I said. Already I have explained to you. In negative side, 1, 2, when it comes to 15, 16. So these all minus, my dear students. So here comes my value minus 15.18. So minus 15.18. In this, I have to take the left hand integer, left side integer, as I said before. And if you also compare minus 15 and minus 16, minus 16 is the smallest integer, my dear students. When we compare with these two, so minus 16 is the correct answer, my dear students. I hope you understood. If you have any doubt, please ask me, my dear students. So now it's very, very important, my dear students. Intervals. Taking the intervals from the given x value. Any real number, as we have discussed before, my dear students, if I take greatest integer function, for example, let me take 2. So for greatest integer function, not only for 2, it gives the value 2, my dear students. For 2.9 also, it gives me the value 2. For 2.1 also, it gives me the value 2. For 2.5 also, it gives me the value 2. That's what they are expressing here, my dear students. So whenever they are giving, whenever some value, some constant which is equals to greatest integer function, and I have to find the interval for x. What are the values can come inside this x? What are the values this greatest integer function can take? For that only they have mentioned here, my dear students. So here 2 can come, as well as less than 3. So less than 3 means 2.999 I can, but 3 I can't, because when it comes to 3, it becomes 3 is equals to 3. So till 2.99999, it gives me the value 2 only, my dear students. So this is the interval. That's what they have given here, my dear students. Any real number x between n and n plus 1, including n. We have to take the 2 as well as my dear students, because that also gives me the value. So if I convert this into interval form, square bracket 3, open interval, my dear students. I hope you understood it well, my dear students. If you haven't understood, please ask me in the comment box. I'll explain you. Okay. So this is how they'll get. We use this thing in problem solving, my dear students. Mostly they ask questions from this topic only. From this, they'll ask inequalities. Inequalities is like psych, my dear students. You will really enjoy a lot. I'll solve so many problems for you. Wait for the lectures. and those are like a crazy thing. You can enjoy a lot how to solve the inequalities and greatest integer function when they mix both, and how to solve the modulus function as well as the greatest integer function. If they mix both, how we have to solve everything, let me explain you, my dear students. What is modulus function, what is fractional part function, what is greatest integer function, what is logarithmic function, and limits, calculus. I'll put one separate lecture, separate playlist for calculus. Calculus is very, very important. So just I have diverted, sorry my dear students. Let's go into the topic. So I hope you understood how we are finding the intervals. Intervals are very, very, very important, my dear students. I hope you understood this. This is how they have solved it for 4 to 5. If I have taken the value for 4 till 4, comma 5. This is the interval, my dear students. I hope you understood. If you have any doubt, please ask me in the comment section. So now tell me the answer for this one, my dear students. If they have given in rational, convert that into decimal, and after that you can solve. So here they have given 1 by 2, which means 0 0.5. 0 0.5 means what, my dear students? It's 0, right? I hope, yeah, it's a very simple questions. You can answer very easily. But since it's the first lecture, I have posted it with very slow. I no need to pressure you. First you have to enjoy. Then I can give you some interesting JEE advanced level problem wherever we are using this greatest integer function. Everything I can do. Okay. So 0 is the answer, my dear students. And greatest integer of minus 1 by 3. So what is minus 1 by 3 is what, my dear students? It's like 0 0.333. So if I get minus 0 0.3, what is my answer? Already I have explained you. The answer is minus 1. Okay. I hope you understood it, my dear students. Now tell me the answer for this question. This question is very, very, very interesting. So what is the value of minus of 10 by 4? What is, my dear students, minus of 10 by 4? So 10 by 4, which means you have to be careful. Here minus is outside, which is not inside. Sometimes students forget this minus. Suddenly if they see the problem, they start solving. So only Oxford College professors, I have seen some videos, and they are saying, the great research scholars from mathematics, they are saying, before solving maths problem, keep in mind, my dear students, be lazy. While solving maths problem, be lazy. For not for studying, not for opening book, I am saying, my dear students. I am just saying, when you are going to solve the problem, be lazy. Be lazy in the sense, first whenever they have given the problem, just look into the problem. First let's see, how sir, how we can solve. So what they are asking, so minus is outside. Suddenly, so minus is that, suddenly if I solve and if I get the wrong answer, means that's all, you lose 5 marks, that's all. So we have to be very, very careful. Here minus is outside. So 10 by 4, which means 2.5. So I hope you know what is 2.5, my dear students. It's 2. So the answer is minus 2. Okay.